On Dalit, Dalit, Dalit. Regarding a barrel into which a leak dripped, Beit Shammai says he must break the barrel, but Beit Hillel says he may pour out the water. But they agree that he may stretch out his hand and take the produce from within the barrel, and the produce is tahor. Regarding a bowl into which a leak dripped of water that splashes and that overflows is not included in the law of the water is placed. And if he took it in order to spill it out, Beis Shammai said it is included in the law of water is placed. The Beis Hillel says it is not included in the law of water is placed. And if he placed the bowl so that the leak would drip into it, the water that splashes and that overflows. Beit Shammai said it is included in the law of water is placed, but Beit Hillel says it is not included in the law of water is placed. If he took it in order to spill it out, both agree that the water is included in the law of water is placed. Regarding one who immerses utensils and launders his garments in a cave, the water that comes out upon his hands is included in the law of water is placed, but as for the water that comes up on his feet, it is not included in the law of water is placed. If Elazar says it is impossible for him to descend unless his feet become wet, even the water that comes upon his feet is included in the law of water is placed. Regarding a basket that is filled with termersin and one places it in the mikveh, he may stretch out his hand and take termersin from within the basket, and yet they are tahor. If we remove the termersin from the water, those that touch the basket are tameh. But as far as the rest of the termersin, they are tahor. And regarding a radish in a cave, a Nida may rinse it and net it as tahor. If she lifts it even a little bit from the water, it's tameh.
So the
Okay.
interesting point that comes out of that last thing is that water that is still attached to the ground is
Mhm.
not machshir. So we were saying that the nida who touches this radish that's inside the water inside the cave, um, if she's touching it underwater, it's not mukhshar, and therefore she's not matame yet. But as soon as she
Uh,
takes it out, because it was put there to wash or whatever,
right.
now the water that's on it is intentional, and it's detached from the ground, and now immediately it's mukhshar and becomes tame from her. So we'll see some more examples like that now. Mishna Zayin. Peres shenaflu letoch amas hamayim. So some produce fell into a little stream. Okay. Pashat mishe hayu yadav tameos and atalan. So now a guy was walking. His fruit just fell into the stream, and he quickly reaches his hands in to take them out. Okay. Now here's the interesting thing. Now his hands were tame.
Tameh. Right.
His hands were tame, and this wasn't intentional that the fruit fell into the stream. Um, so as he sticks his hands in and pulls them out, the water was not intentional, and even the water that comes out is not intentional because he had no intention to wash it in the first place. So, I mean, he wants to take it out. There's going to be water coming out, but it's not laratzon. So therefore, the fruit remains tahor and not bechiyutan. Okay, but what happened to his hands when he stuck his hands into the stream is that you don't need kavanah for Tevila. This is one of these fascinating things that actually also Rav Haber was covering in his morning dvar halacha a couple months ago, is that Tevila of a kli or of your hands does not need kavanah. It can happen by accident. And to the extent that you could actually ask a goy to do your Tevila for you. You could, if you've got a whole bunch of kalim that you just bought
Right.
new, and you can say you can hire a guy to say, please take my kalim to the mikveh. He sticks them in the mikveh, takes them out, and as long as I mean, how you get around the fact that you trust him that he did it is a different question. But if somebody saw it happen, then it's good. All that happened
But
is
you
that
see, he
so
doesn't need intention, but it says
it
here
does
in
intention.
English, it says if he intended that his hands be rinsed.
That's the next clause.
Uh-huh.
That's the next clause. The first clause over here is that his hands were not were stam yadayim tmeot, right? He said
Mhm.
they were tame. He stuck his hands in to get the produce, and while his hands were in there, he didn't have any intention for it. But mimela, by the fact that he stuck his hands into the river, his hands become tahor. So if he now that he's pulled the fruit out and he says, "Oh, hang on a second, I just stuck my hands in the river. Great, and I can make a motzi and not worry about anything else." Okay, and that's because he did not have intention. But that you see, that's only because he didn't have intention. Now the second half is im chishev sheyidochu yadav. He said, "Oh, great, let me wash my hands while I'm taking the produce out." Yadav tahorot, and once again, of course, his hands are tahor. But a paris b'chiyutan.
Right.
So
Tummy.
because his hands are now wet and it was intentional because he wanted to wash his hands. So the water that comes off his hands that touches the paris makes them b'chiyutan. Okay, that's an interesting little thing over there that Tevila does not require kavana. Okay. Kedera shehi melea mayim. So you've got a pot that's full of water. Unasana letoch hamikveh, and he. Okay, so now this water is okay. Whatever the water is, it doesn't actually matter. He submerges the pot in the mikveh, so that the water is joined to the water in the mikveh. So now we know that hashaka has the property of being mataher the water that's inside the pot. Okay. Upashat is ha'av hatuma yado letzocha. So this container over here is earthenware. It's a kli cheres, and kli cheres does not get purified by mikveh. Okay.
Right.
So now, why was the kli in here? It doesn't matter. But he put a kli cheres. We're just talking about a hypothetical case where there's a kli cheres inside the mikveh with water inside it, and a tame and an avatuma. Right? Let's say a zav, a balkari, whatever. It doesn't matter. He sticks his hand into the pot. So he is tameh as an avatuma. And he, by putting his hand into the airspace of the pot, makes the pot tameh.
Right. Okay.
Remember, Kli Cheres becomes tameh from its own airspace. Even though that airspace is now water space, doesn't matter.
Right.
That's his hand being in that space over there makes the pot tameh. And the mikveh doesn't help because Kli Cheres is not purified in a mikveh. Okay, Pashat is avatuma is yadol tzochat tamea. Magat tumos. However, if the person who stuck his hand in is just somebody who touched something that was tameh. So, for example, he shook hands with somebody who was tameh. So now he's a rishon latuma. If he sticks his hand into there, um, a regular kli does not become tameh past rishon, so it doesn't become a sheni. So if the kli was tahor before, it stays tahor now because it won't accept tumah from the person who's a rishon. Okay, and the water, of course, because it's connected to the mikveh, stays tahor. However,
Yeah.
any other liquid that's inside there, milk or vinegar or wine or
Inside
whatever,
the pot. Right. Inside the clay carrots.
or fruit juice, anything that's inside this kli cheres, and he
Right.
submerges it a little bit into the mikveh. Now the water is not matahir the whatever liquids inside there. Only water can be purified by hashaka. And now the person who is a rishon tumah touches the liquid also becomes a rishon tumah, and it's matame the kli to be a rishon tumah. Okay. She'ena maim. Okay, shakol mashkin tamein. So the liquid becomes tame, and the kli also becomes tame. She'ena maim mitarin es shahar mashkin. Okay, water can only be mitahir water, but not
Other things.
not other things. Okay, let's see if there's anything else in the commentary here. It's a kader migzeres chacham. Right. Okay, and Mishnah Tes. Hamimale bekilon. So a person puts water into a kilon, which is like a pipe. And how is it translated for you?
Irrigation pipe.
Irrigation pipe, yeah. Okay, so water was flowing through these irrigation pipes, um, and um, and now for 3 days, so we say that pipe, there's water that intentionally was flowing through these pipes. So any water that's that's all b'chiyutan over there. If anything falls into these pipes and becomes moistened by them, they will. It says tame. I think that means b'chiyutan. Machshirin l'tumah, yeah, Machshirin l'tumah. So it's not dafka that they actually become tame. It's just that they are prepared for tumah. Rabbi Akiva Omer im nagvu miyad toharim. So I don't think that the commentary says that Rabbi Akiva is not actually arguing with the Tanna Kama. He's explaining the terms of the situation. It says if we know that the pipe dried up, miyad tahorim, then there's nothing to worry about. Im lo nagvu afilu ad 30 yom tameim. And if it stayed wet, then it doesn't matter how long it stays wet. 30 days it can stay wet, and we're still going to count it as bechiyatan. But I think what we're saying is if we just don't know was it wet or not, the assumption is that it was wet for 3 days, and after that we assume not. Okay,
All right.
all good.
So
Great.
good. So that wasn't too bad.
Empiric base.
Okay. Base. Regarding a bathhouse that is tummy, its perspiration is tummy. And a tahor bathhouse, its perspiration is included in the law of water is place. Regarding a pool in a house and the house perspires on its account, it is tummy. And then the perspiration of the entire house that is on account of the pool is tummy. Regarding two pools of which one is tahor and one is tummy, that which perspires closer to the tummy pool, its perspiration is tummy. But that which perspires closer to the tahor pool, its perspiration is tahor. That which is equidistant between the two pools, its perspiration is tummy. Regarding a piece of tummy iron that one mixed with a piece of tahor or iron, if the greater part of the mixture is from the tummy iron, it is tummy. But if the greater part of the mixture is from the tahor iron, it is tahor. If the mixture consists half of the tummy iron and half of the tahor iron, it is tummy. Regarding chamber pots into which both Jews and non-Jews urinate, if the greater part of the urine is in the pot consists of the tummy urine, the mixture is tummy. But if the greater part consists of tahor urine, the mixture is tahor. If the mixture consists half of tummy and half of consists half of the tummy urine and half of the tahor urine, it is tummy. Regarding wastewater in which rainwater fell, if the greater part of the mixture's water is from the tummy water, the mixture is tummy. But if the greater part of the mixture is from the tahor water, the mixture is tahor. If the mixture consists half of the tummy water and half of the tahor water, the mixture is tummy. When is this? When the wastewater preceded the rainwater. But if the rainwater preceded the wastewater, even if only a minute amount, the mixture is tummy. Regarding one who tears his, regarding one who tars his roof or washes his garments and rain fell on them, if the greater part of the mixture is from tummy water, the water is tummy. If the greater part of the mixture is from tahor water, the water is tahor. Mixture is tahor. If the mixture is half from the tummy water and half from the tahor water, the water is tummy. The mixture is tummy, and the water who says that if they increase their dripping.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey,
close.
hey.
Okay. You said you'd hey?
Yeah.
I did vav. I don't know. Okay. All handles of utensils that are too long and will be cut short need only to be immersed in the prescribed length. The Yehuda says only if it is completely immersed. The prescribed length for the chain of a large bucket is 4 hand breadths. For the chain of a small bucket, it's 10. They need to be immersed only up to the prescribed lengths, and Reb Tarfon says only if the link is completely immersed. A string tied to a basket is not considered a combination unless it is sewn on. Shammai said we may not immerse hot water in cold water, or cold water in hot water, or clean water in foul water, or foul water in clean water. But Beis Hillel says we may so immerse them. If one immersed a vessel that is filled with liquid, it is as though it was not immersed. But if it is filled with urine, it is regarded as water. If it is filled with purification water, it is not cleansed until the water of the mikveh is more than the purification water. But Yossi says even if a vessel with a capacity of a quart contains only 1 revius of these liquids, it is as though it is not immersed. This is the stringency in the case of drinking tummy liquids over the case of a mikveh. They made other liquids in the water the same as water. The other liquids the same as water. They ate tummy, one ate tummy foods and drank tummy liquids and then immersed themselves and then vomited them up. They remain tummy because they do not become purified in the body. But if he drank tummy water and then immersed himself and then vomited it up, it is tahor because it become purified in the body. If one swallowed a ring that is tahor and he entered a tent containing a corpse and then he ate himself.
Hold on. Are you on ches here? This is you're on ches already. Sorry, that's ches is for tomorrow.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so we'll do ches tomorrow and start nida.
Sorry, nida. Okay. The guy Okay, Yud Gimel Yud Vav Aleph. If a Matzorah enters a house, all the utensils that are there become tummy, even up to the ceiling beams. Reb Shimon says to the height of the four cubits. The utensils become tummy immediately, and Reb Yehuda says if he remained long enough to kindle the lamp. If a Matzorah enters a synagogue, a partition is made for him 10 handbreadths high for an area 4 cubits wide. He enters first and leaves last. Anything that requires a fastened cover to curtail tumah in the tent of a corpse requires a fastened cover or to curtail tumah in an afflicted house. And anything that requires only a covering to curtail tumah in the tent of a corpse requires only a covering to curtail tumah in an afflicted house. These are the words of Rameya. Rabbi Yossi says anything that requires a fastened covering to curtail tumah in the tent of a corpse requires only a covering to curtail tumah in an afflicted house. Anything that requires only a covering to curtail tumah in the tent of a corpse is tahara in an afflicted house, even if it is uncovered. How do we make a matzorah tahara? He brings a new earthenware pitcher, places it in the corner of a log of living water, and brings 2 wild birds. The Kohen slaughters one of them, and the earthenware vessel onto the living waters. Digs a hole and buries the bird in front of the Mitzorah. He takes cedar wood, ezav, and red wool and binds them together with the end of the wool. Then the Kohen brings the tips of the wings and the tips of the tails of the second bird near the cedar wood, ezav, and red wool, dips and sprinkles them 7 times in the back of the Mitzorah's hand, and some say on his forehead. And so, too, would the Kohen sprinkle on the outside the lintel of an afflicted house. He
Adkan.
then
Adkan.
comes.
Yeah.
Okay. Arachim. Okay, volume base. Vav base. If one consecrated his property and he was liable for his wife's ksuba or a debt to a creditor, the wife cannot collect a tuba from the temple property, nor can she the creditor collects his debt from it. Rather, the one who redeems it on the condition of giving the wife a ketubah on the creditor or the creditor his debt. If one consecrated property worth 90 manas and his debt was 100, he adds another dinner and redeems his property with it, on the condition of giving the wife the ketubah, on the condition credit his debit. Although they said we secure payment from those obligated from Eric vows, we now have food for 30 days, clothing for 12 months, and a bed made up with bedding, shoes, and tefillah for himself, but not his wife or his children. If he was a craftsman, we allow him 2 tools of each kind. The carpenter is given 2 planes and 2 saws. If Eliezer said if he was a plowman, they give him his yoke of oxen, a donkey driver, and they give him a donkey. If he had many of one kind and few of another kind, we do not tell him to sell some of the many and to buy for himself some of the few. Rather, we give him 2 kinds of the many and whatever he has of the few. One consecrates his property, and they assess him for his tefillah.
Okay. Kiddushin.
Okay, Aleph Hey. Possessions which can have a lien on them are acquired with money and with a document or with an act of possession, and those which cannot have a lien on them are acquired only with mesicha. Possessions which cannot have a lien on them are acquired together with possessions which can have a lien on them with money, with a document, or with an act of possession, and possessions which cannot have a lien on them cause one to swear concerning possessions which can have a lien on them. Anything which is used as a payment and another object, once this one takes possession, that one becomes liable for his exchange. How? If one exchanged an ox for a cow or a donkey for an ox, this one takes possession. That one becomes liable for his exchange. Possession by the temple treasury is with money, and possession by a private person is with an act of possession. Its oral dedication to the temple is like its delivery to a private person. All commandments involving the son, incumbent on the father, men are obligated and women are exempt, and all commandments involving the father, incumbent on the son, both men and women are obligated. Every positive commandment which time causes, men are obligated and women are exempt, and every positive commandment which time does not cause, both men and women are obligated. Every negative commandment which time causes or time does not cause, both men and women are obligated, except for the prohibition of destroying one's beard, the prohibition of rounding one's head, and prohibition of becoming contaminated for the dead.
That's for Kohanim, that is. That you have.
Right. Shabbos. A stone which is on the opening of a cask, one may tilt on its side so that it falls off. If it was among the other casks, one may lift it and then tilt it on its side so that it falls off. Money which is on a pillow, one may shake the pillow so that it falls off, and if there is filth on it, he may wipe it off with a rag. If it was made of leather, we may pour water on it till it disappears. Beit Shammai says we may pick up bones and husks from the table, but Beit Hillel says we must pick up the entire board and shake it. We may remove from the table even crumbs less than the size of an olive, as well as the pods of chickpeas and the pods of lentils, because they are animal fodder. A sponge, if it has a leather handle, we may wipe with it. If not, we may not wipe with it. And the sages, however, say in either case, it may be moved about on the Shabbos and is not susceptible to tumor contamination. Cask which has broken, we may save from it enough food for 3 meals, and one may say to others, come and save for yourselves. However, he may not soak it up with a sponge. We may not press fruits to exact fruit from them, and even if they float out by themselves, they are prohibited. The Yehuda says if they were intended for food, the juice that flows from them is permitted, but if they were intended for juice, the flows from them is prohibited. Honeycombs, which one course before the Sabbath, and the honey which then flowed out by itself are prohibited if Elazar, however, permits them.
That's
Okay,
it.
good.
All right. Have a wonderful week.
Great. Enjoy your day. Enjoy it.
Yeah,
And
you
I will
too.
see you tomorrow, Mr. Shem. Thank you.
Bye.